Hello everyone, my name is Fatima and welcome back to the Race Edit. And if you're new here, welcome to the Race Edit and welcome to a new video. Now, today's video is going to be a little bit fun, a little bit interesting, something that I haven't done before. So bear with me while I try and figure out how to work the reins of this thing. But I thought it would be fun to do a little tier list of the most breaking of breaking news that we've had in Formula One this past season, this past 2024 season. And I felt like I was taking you guys along the journey with me because there's been quite a bit of breaking news this season. And man, let's figure out what really broke the internet and what really was just kind of like, I saw it coming. So bear with me. Like I said, it's my first time doing a tier list, so I'm trying my best. I am. Alrighty. Let's see. So let's start off with didn't move me. No noise. No noise. Then we can say interesting. And then this one can be shock, not surprised. Jaw drop. And broke the internet, I think. Oops. Okay, let's start off with, well, there's a couple that I already know where I want to put them, but before we get into that, how about we start off with, I guess I could go in order, but that's no fun, is it? Let's start from the bottom up. The only reason I'm not going to do this one is because I actually have Binotto there twice, so we're going to get to him the second time around. So the first one is going to be Esteban Ocon to not race in Abu Dhabi for the final race of the season. You know what? This was an interesting one for me because as much as I was shocked but not surprised, I do think it was a jaw drop for me only because it was the very last race of the season and it just didn't make sense to me. We knew at this point that Esteban Ocon would not be racing with Alpine come 2025, but in my head, I was like, just let him finish off the season. Contractual obligations or not, whatever deal he had with Alpine, it just didn't make any sense to me. So to me, this was a jaw drop. Alrighty. Then we go on to Alpine using Alpine using the Mercedes power unit, I think come 2025. Now, oh, Alpine. Honestly, I think I'm gonna have to say this is going to be a. I don't know if it's a jaw drop. The only reason I want to put it in interesting is because, you know what? No, I do have to say that this one would actually be a jaw drop for me as well, just because of you know what? No, shocked but not surprised because we knew how much the engines were struggling when it comes to the Renault engines. So I'm shocked, but I'm not surprised, I think, with this one. Alrighty. Apparently, we're just on an Alpine trajectory. Apparently. This one is the Jack Doohan to race in place of Esteban Ocon come Abu Dhabi. If I'm going to put Esteban Ocon in jaw drop, I would say I have to put Jack Doohan there. But the only reason I'm not going to put Jack Doohan there in jaw drop is because it was really a shock, but not a surprise. And if they announced it, like who else would replace Esteban Ocon for the final race of the 2024 season, right? Alrighty. Sauber announcing that they would not be re-signing Zhou or Valtteri Bottas for the 2025 season and going forward. Now, interesting because I think the way it was announced was honestly kind of ridiculous on Sauber's end. A double announcement for both of these drivers. It was a whack in the face. I don't want to say it made no noise. I think I would put it in interesting only because we knew that Zhou was not going to be re-signed for another season with Kick Sauber. Valtteri was oh, this is hard. This is harder than I thought it would be. I think I'm gonna have to say, oh, I'm so sorry. But interesting because originally I had thought, to me, it didn't make sense as to why, and maybe we'll get there next actually. It didn't make sense to me why Sauber would sign Hulkenberg over Valtteri when they already had an experienced driver on their team. I assumed it would make more sense for them to keep an experienced driver on their team and then bring in a rookie, which they are doing. But instead of keeping the original experienced driver on their team, they're bringing in Nico Hulkenberg, and then he's going to race alongside rookie Gabriel Bartoletto. So for Nico Hulkenberg, I think also, you know what? To me, and I know this might sound crazy, ooh, I don't want to put it in no noise because I feel like that could come back and bite me in the bum. When if the Sauber project goes the way they expect it to go and Nico Hulkenberg's up there, I don't want to say no noise, but honestly, mm, I think I'm going to put it in interesting, and then I'm going to put Nico Hulkenberg's announcement of leaving Haas. Uh, yo, they make this harder than hmm. I might not even have anything in no noise by the end of this, if we're gonna be honest. This is tricky actually. I think I'm gonna have to put this doesn't reflect it, but of all the breaking news we've had, this is kind of like okay, only because he was leaving Haas to go to another team. So to me personally, I think I'm gonna have to put him in no noise for this one. All right, let's move on to the announcement of General Motors slash Cadillac having a seat in Formula One come the 2026 season. Now, this one for sure, to me, has to go to Jaw Drop, only because of the fight Andretti has been having with Formula One into letting Andretti have a space in Formula One. And with the Andretti name gone, essentially, now there's an availability for a 11th team on the grid. So to me, honestly, I think I would have to put that in Jaw Drop. Let's move on. I want to come back to again, Toyota times Haas. I don't think that's no noise. I also think it's interesting only because Haas has been doing, knock on wood, pretty well this past season, and I can only imagine come next year and come the new regulations that they're really going to be stepping their foot in the game, which is why I'm almost like, why is Nico Hulkenberg leaving now? But at that point, I don't think he really knew, or he would have known. But the Sauber project was such a big deal that leaving Haas at that time only made more sense for Hulk. But I am going to say, I'm going to put the Toyota times Haas partnership to interesting. Then we have, ooh, you know, Daniel Ricciardo to leave RB. Oof. You know what? I'm going to do both of these at the same exact time, which is I'm going to have to say shocked but not surprised. Shocked only because, for Daniel Ricciardo specifically, shocked only because when they brought Daniel Ricciardo back, I thought he was here to stay in Formula One for good, for at least another full season, and then he would move on to the Red Bull seat, senior Red Bull seat, um, for 2025. But no, that's not how they play these things out. So DR is going to go to shocked but not surprised, and Liam Lawson, of course, is going to go into shocked and not surprised for. Actually, no. Hmm. Interesting. Pretty much. I'm not shocked by Liam Lawson going to RB in replacement of Daniel Ricciardo, so I do think I would have to say interesting. I can't put it at no noise because you know what? It did make noise because people were just like, what is going on? Why not just keep Danny Rick for the full season? But clearly he was not fulfilling his contractual obligations, which then goes to show what are Perez's contractual obligations. I guess right now my only reason for maybe getting rid of Ricardo and not getting rid of Perez is they did not need Perez to be at the same level as Max. Sure, during the latter half of the season, yes, they did for sure because Max was fighting for his life. And had they had a second driver that was producing the same results as Max, they probably could have won the WCC alongside of Max's WDC. So with this one, I would have to say I understand. I lost my train of thought. That's why I stopped speaking. Okay, let's move on to. I'm going to skip Nui actually. I don't want to say Gabrielle Bartoletto made no noise. I don't want to say that. I don't want to say that. I would have to say interesting. Yeah, interesting. We'll keep him at interesting. Also, I don't know if I'm doing this tier list thing right, by the way. I'm testing out the waters and we'll see how it goes. Okay, let's go into Ollie Behrman signing for Haas 2025. Okay, I guess maybe I should explain what no noise is. Maybe let me explain what no noise is. No noise is essentially like we knew it was gonna happen, so happy that it's happening. And that like it's not the most breaking of breaking news this season. So with that being said, I would have to say Ollie Behrman signing with Haas is going to go to no noise. Not anything to do with him, but just because of the way the trajectory of the season played, especially with how many races he's raced this season, it only made sense that he would get signed with Haas. So, no noise. Let me just make sure that's the exact right one. Ooh, my bad. So this one was actually, I just double checked. So this one was actually Ollie Behrman to race in the Azerbaijan Grand Prix in replacement of Kevin Magnussen, who got a one race ban. So you know what? Let's switch that one and then we'll move the correct one over to no noise for Ollie Behrman. So this one is going to have to go to. I don't. I think I could actually stay in no noise because who else would replace K Mag, right? Okay, let's keep him there and then let's also keep this announcement here as well. Okay, let's move on to Kimi Antonelli. Kimi Antonelli. Mercedes finally signing Kimi Antonelli for the 2025 C and going forward in his racing endeavors, he is going to be a Mercedes driver for as long as his contract ends. This is not no noise, of course. It's not interesting either. I want to say shocked but not surprised because I think it's between interesting and shocked but not surprised. It's not a jaw drop because we all saw it coming and it definitely didn't break the internet because again, we all saw it coming. So I think I would actually have to say, oof, this is a tough one. The only you see it I think it can be a shock but not surprised because he's literally like a prodigy. Like Toto Wolff has been hyping him up to be the next best thing in Formula One. And the only reason I don't want to put it in shock but not surprised is because we all saw it coming because of how much Toto Wolff has been hyping up this driver. But I don't want to put it in interesting because I do think that's still too low. So I think I will keep it in shocked but not surprised only for the mere fact that he's has so much expectation on him. I would have thought that maybe they would have put him in that Williams seat, but you know, Williams is their own team and they're not just a sitting duck for Mercedes. So I think I will put Kimi Antonelli getting signed for Mercedes in shocked but not surprised. Now, this is where the fun starts, kind of. Jack Doohan. Dun, dun, dun. Not Jack Doohan. Logan Sargent getting dropped. I don't think Hmm. I'm gonna put this in interesting because I don't think it didn't make any noise because it definitely did make noise. Only because of the story arc of the entire season was they re-signed Logan Sargent onto Williams after he had not a good first year as a Formula One driver. So they signed him for a second season, and in the second season, he was still making huge complications. It was still quite hard for him to catch up. And so I don't think it qualifies as a no noise because it really brought on a lot of questions as to who would replace him. But I do not think it was shocked but not surprised because we all saw it coming, unfortunately, for Logan. It's not a jaw drop and it did not break the internet. So I do think it's quite interesting what they did with Logan Sargent. Then we have, you know what, if we're going to do Logan Sargent and Williams, we might as well continue on the Williams trajectory because then we have Williams signing a young Franco Colapinto. And the reason I'm going to put him in jaw drop was because while I actually agreed with James Val's intention of signing another rookie, I understood why he did that. And it actually made a lot of sense to me because I do believe in giving people a chance, especially giving the younger generation a chance. I'm going to have to put it in jaw drop because it made no sense if you think about it from letting go of one rookie, even though he was in his second season, Logan Sargent, just to bring in a second rookie who had no experience in Formula One because of how much Williams was struggling. They were struggling so much, and they were like, let's bring in another rookie. That's exactly what we're going to do. So, because of that, I'm putting it in jaw drop. And I'm going to keep on my Williams trajectory because we have when Alex Albon ended up using Logan Sargent's car for the, what Grand Prix was it? I don't want to say Australian Grand Prix. Let me Google this. Yeah, so this is when Alex Albon took Logan Sargent's car for the remainder of the Australian Grand Prix after both cars crashed out. Now, this one was definitely a jaw drop, only for the mere fact that it was unfair. I understood why Alex Albon ended up driving Sargent's car just because he was the more reliable driver of the two. But it was just like a slap in the face. If we're going to be honest, it was a slap in the face to Logan Sargent, and Alex Albon, I think, handled it really well, and as did Logan Sargent. But I do think Alex Albon, being the one who honestly was going to get a lot of the slack, handled it really well. So I am going to put it in jaw drop. Okay, let's go on to. I feel bad because clearly I'm gonna have to say Jack Doohan signing with Alpine. Honestly, I'm gonna have to say it made no noise. I'm so sorry to Jack, but if we're gonna be real, eh, you know, he's been vying for that seat for a long time. So when it was announced, everyone was just like, "Of course, it's going to be Jack." I mean, even though there was speculation that it could potentially be Mick because of his WEC ties with Alpine, it didn't make that much noise to me. I'm not gonna lie. Sorry, Jack. All right, let me go on to Kevin Magnussen leaving Haas at the end of the season. I don't think this made any noise. I mean, like, I don't think this is no noise. I do think this is interesting only because K-Mag and Haas go like this, you know? So for K-Mag to leave Haas at the end of the season, it's an interesting decision. Haas is starting fresh next year. We're having Ollie Behrman and we're also having Esteban Ocon. So I do think that is going to be very interesting for Haas. So I think I'm going to have to put K-Mag leaving Haas into interesting because it's another thing that I think while K-Mag and Haas are like this, I do think at the start of the season it was kind of like, all right, maybe his time in Formula One is over, which sucks because I like K-Mag. So I'm happy he's still going to be racing. It's just not in F1. But if I can keep up with the series, that'd be really great. He's keeping up with he's racing for, he's doing endurance racing, isn't he? Which is something that I am actively trying to get more into. I have been keeping my eye on endurance racing for the past few seasons. It's just actively sitting there and making the time to watch. It is hard because of how long the races are, but it is something that I do enjoy when I get the chance to watch some endurance racing. So I'm gonna have to say interesting. Oh my gosh, I'm running out of space for interesting. Alrighty, let's go into Jonathan Wheatley leaving. Oh no, this is Cape. I gotta stop doing this. This is Kevin Magnussen's race ban one, I think. Hold on. This one is Kevin Magnussen's race ban, so we're just gonna bring this one right back and move him over here. And then I guess let's keep on the Kevin Magnussen trajectory. So his race ban. I have to say, shocked but not interesting. I mean, shocked but not surprised. Let's be honest. Kevin Magnussen is a menace, which is why I will be watching him in endurance racing. And that's all I have to say about that one. Okay, let's move on to, I guess, Jonathan Wheatley leaving Red Bull. Now, this one, to me, it's weird because I don't want to say it's a jaw drop. I would have to say, hmm, only because he's been at Red Bull for what, since 2018? Since 2018. And this was during the time when Red Bull was just crumbling. People were leaving left, right, and center. So I would have to say this one is actually a, hmm, I would have to say shocked but not surprised. Yeah, I'm gonna keep him there. And then I'm sorry. I'm sorry. I had to throw this one in. Like, come on. Okay. Then we have Oliver Oakes to be the new team principal of Alpine. I don't want to say, you know what? I'm going to start with Bruno Famine. I think I'm going to put him as interesting only because Alpine has been having a lot of shakeups this past season, and maybe these shakeups are putting them in the right trajectory with how the season ended off for Alpine. But I don't know. I have my eye on Alpine always. I'm going to be honest with you guys. I really, really do. So I'm going to have to say interesting. And then I think I'm going to have to say Oliver Oakes to be the new team principal of Alpine. I'm also going to have to say interesting as well. Oh my gosh, I have no more space for interesting. Okay. Now, this one is George Russell being disqualified after the Belgian Grand Prix. I'm gonna have to say, I had to throw one in that was just quite silly. There's two in that are actually quite silly to me personally. And this is one of those ones because I do think it was breaking news, but compared to the other breaking news we have, it's not so breaking. But I'm gonna have to say this one was. It's between jaw drop and shocked but not surprised. I want to say shocked but not surprised because if we're going to be honest, while what he did during that race, like this was to do a one stop and everyone else I think did a two stop during that race, and he held on to his tires was great to see. To find out that it was illegal, he deserved to be demoted down to lose his race win. Because if we're going to be honest, the way that entire race played out was his teammate had the better of him the entire time. His teammate was on track to win the race up until the pit stops happened. And it, while Formula One is not a fair sport, it did feel slightly unfair to see how that played out. So it felt like justice kind of um it felt like justice fixed itself. Essentially, the universe came back and was like, justice is served, essentially. So I'm gonna have to say shocked but not surprised for George Russell on this one. And then let's do our other silly one, which is I'm sorry, because it's clearly a no noise one, let's be honest. But Fernando Alonso re-signing with Aston Martin, like clearly it's a no noise one, clearly, because that man is never going to retire from the sport. Duh, he came back to Formula One. He's like, yeah, you know what? Actually, I think I'm here to stay. So no noise, Fernando Alonso. Now let's move on to Ollie Beerman racing for Carlos Sainz in Bahrain after Carlos Sainz had his I can't say that word and I got my appendix removed myself, appendectomy. So I think this was quite a, I don't want to say, the only reason I want to say jaw drop was because this was first race of the season. It's been in new news about Carlos Sainz no longer having a seat at Ferrari come 2025. And it was just like, wow, this is how he's starting off his year when we know he's not going to have a seat with Ferrari. It felt like all the cards were down on Carlos, even though this is for Ollie Behrman, and having Ollie Behrman come race in replacement of him and have a great race also. I'm going to have to say jaw drop. Okay, let's go on to the big boys now. Starting off with Binotto is back. I don't think it broke the internet, but I don't think it was shocked but not surprised. Interesting, yeah. It definitely made noise because Binotto is such an interesting character, isn't he? So Binotto is back with Sauber. You know, I do have to say Binotto coming back to Formula One was actually jaw drop because I actually didn't think we would see him back. I'm not gonna lie, but lo and behold, he's come back with a vengeance, apparently. Alrighty, then we move on to dun, 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 things that broke the internet. First one I have to say is, which one do I want to start off with actually? You know, let's do Carlos Sainz actually. Carlos Sainz signing with Williams. Now, this is an interesting one to me, personally, potentially, maybe. I don't want to say it's a jaw drop but I am gonna put it in jaw drop. The reason why is because I feel like Carlos Sainz had a lot of time to figure out which he no Carlos Sainz had almost the entire 2024 season to sign with a team, and there was many options for him to sign with a top team, and he chose Williams. Now you guys know me. I actually quite like Williams, so this is no shade to Williams, but it felt like he was holding out hope, and then he lost, and then those teams stopped waiting for him essentially because he was the domino. It was a domino effect. People were waiting for Carlos Sainz to pick where he was going to sign, and then once he chose where he was going to sign, the domino effect started happening with other teams signing other drivers. So he took his sweet time, and I was like, maybe he'll go to Mercedes. I was so sure he was going to go to Sauber because of his ties with Sauber, but yeah, because of his ties with them. And then he chose Williams. And I was like, you wasted not only my time, you wasted your time and everyone else's time, Carlos Sainz. No, but like for real. You know? So with that, I'm going to have to put him in the I will have to put him in the jaw drop section. It was quite a shock. As much as I love Williams, I was like, what are you doing, Sainz? You actually did have other options. You did. But hey, I digress. Then we go on to let's move on to Adrian Newey. Adrian Newey leaving Red Bull. You know what? I think that deserves break the internet levels because of how long he's been at Red Bull, his history with Red Bull, the amount of championships he's won with Red Bull. For him to leave Red Bull, yeah, that was a big one. I'm not gonna lie, that was a big one. My gosh, yeah. And then for Adrian Newey to sign to Aston Martin. Now, while Adrian Newey leaving Red Bull broke the internet, Adrian Newey signing to Aston Martin, for me, I don't think it was break the internet worthy, even though they announced it as such. I also don't, only because we all kind of saw it coming after the hype of Newey leaving Red Bull, and then the hype of maybe Ferrari's going to sign Newey, maybe he's going to go there, da 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 da. It kind of like all died down, and it was like, oh, you're going to Aston Martin. I mean, Lawrence Stroll has the money, he has the big bucks. Yeah. So I'm going to have to say I was shocked, but I was not surprised for Newey going to Aston Martin. Now we have two left. These two, take a wild guess where they're going to go. I think we all know where these two are going to go. But I have to do an order of the day. So, as we know, that wonderful February morning in 2024. Was it February 1st or 2nd? I want to say it was the 1st based on the pictures I have in my camera roll, but it could also be the 2nd. But that wonderful February morning when rumors were percolating around, rumors were just there were whispers about Lewis Hamilton signing to Ferrari. There's always whispers about Lewis Hamilton signing to Ferrari, but on this morning, these rumors seemed to hold some weight. And boy, oh boy, did. So, but the way it's announced is the way I'm going to share it. It was first announced that Lewis Hamilton would be leaving Mercedes because I do think they're both break the internet worthy in their own right. So let's start off with Lewis Hamilton being announced that he would leave Mercedes. That definitely is break the internet. This is a 10-year partnership. They've won 6 championships together, World WDC championships together. They've had so many wins together. It is the partnership of Formula One, if we're going to be honest. So when it was announced that Lewis Hamilton would be leaving Mercedes, yeah, you can't tell me it didn't break the internet because it actually did. It actually did. I cannot remember a day when we've had so much people outside of the Formula One bubble all join in on this conversation. So it was definitely break the internet worthy. And then, of course, Lewis Hamilton signing to Ferrari. Oh my gosh. Diabolical, insane, ridiculous. It was just like one whack after the other whack. While we did hear the Ferrari rumors first, to have it official when Ferrari just released that little statement of their Ferrari logo shield, and then just their statement of them being pleased to have signed Lewis Hamilton, I will never forget that day for as long as I live. I'm not even kidding. That was such a insane day to be a part of Formula One. So, of course, oh, sorry. He goes right where he belongs and break the internet. I'm laughing because we have one last photo of Binotto, which isn't going anywhere, so I might as well just put him in the same section. It's good to be back. That sounds like a threat, Binotto. A threat. I had two photos of him. But back to Mr. Lewis Hamilton and Ferrari. Definitely, I do think of everything we've had this season, these three broke the internet completely. Newey leaving Red Bull, Lewis Hamilton leaving Mercedes, Lewis Hamilton signing to Ferrari. Completely, they're the big three of the season for the amount for how much it broke the internet when it came to news in Formula One. For jaw drop, I think I have a good level for jaw drop. Signs, Binotto, Behrman replacing Signs for Bahrain, Albon taking Logan's car, Franco Colapinto replacing Logan, Cadillac GM joining Formula One in 26, Esteban Ocon not racing in Abu Dhabi for the final race. I do think that's a good level of jaw drop. I think so. Then shocked but not surprised. Alpine going to use Mercedes powered units. Jack Doohan. I think this is Jack Doohan replacing Albon. Daniel Ricciardo. It could go to jaw drop. You could give me a compelling argument as to why that should go to jaw drop. You could. Kimi Antonelli. That one potentially as well. Kevin Magnussen race ban was that one? Yeah, Kevin Magnussen race ban. Shocked but not surprised, 100%. Jonathan Wheatley leaving. Red Bull, George Russell getting disqualified. You could also give me a compelling argument as to why that is a jaw drop, but I think it's safe and steady in the middle, to be honest. And then Newey to Aston Martin. I don't think that's a jaw drop. I don't even think that's breaking the internet because it was proposed that way, but it was not that way. Then we have interesting Bottas and Zhou no longer racing with Kick Sauber come 2025. Nico Hulkenberg joining Kick Sauber come 2025. All interesting. Toyota times Haas. I think that is quite interesting. It's nice to see Toyota back. Then we have Lawson replacing Daniel Ricciardo again. Interesting. Gabriel Bortoleto racing in 2025. I think interesting and deserved. Logan Sargent to be replaced. I don't think, I mean, it could be shocked but not surprised. You know what? I might move that to shocked but not surprised. Yeah. Yeah. I think so. Only because of how much James Vowles is hyping up giving Logan a chance and like that he understands the team role and his role within the team. So you know what? I think I will move that to shock but not surprised. K Mac to leave Haas. Bruno Famin, Oliver Oaks. I think those are steady, interesting. I do. And then again, no noise doesn't mean it didn't make noise, but in the grand scheme of all the breaking news we've had here, I do think these are set in the no noise, which is Hulkenberg to leave Haas. Ollie Behrman, so much Ollie Behrman in this. Ollie Behrman to race in replacement of Kevin Magnussen for his race ban in Azerbaijan. Ollie Behrman to race with Haas for the 2025 season. Jack Doohan to race with Alpine for the 2025 season. Fernando Alonso to stay. Wow, shock. Not really. And then, of course, Binotto saying it's great to be back. Ooh. We'll see. We shall see. Let me know when Gunther Steiner's back. That was fun. That was really fun. I think that's all I have for you all today. For my wonderful tier list, we're going to save this wonderful list. Of course we are. And we'll call it a day. Thank you all so much for sitting here and watching this very unserious video. I think I'm going to do more like this. It's really fun. If you guys like this video, please feel free to like and subscribe, and I will see you all in the next one. Thank you and have a wonderful, wonderful day.